shadows in his golden years.
Peter Beardsley joins us live on the line this morning. Martin and Bob. Peter, good morning to you.
How are you doing, Jim?
I'm good,
Morning,
thank you.
Peter.
Thanks so much for joining us. How do you feel about Liverpool pulling this off after so many years, Peter?
Yeah, amazing, Jim. You know, it's amazing that it's 30 years, but amazing the way they've done it, the style they've done it. Martin and Bob talked about it long. You know, when you go to Liverpool, you learn to play a certain way.
Peter, give us a minute, mate. We're going to call you straight back and get you on a better line. Peter Beardsley. Mark, when you think of those players, Beardsley, Stevie Nicol, Barnes, Rush, Dalglish, what a side. No wonder they won it back in 1990.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to play against them when Liverpool were dominating everything in front of them. And Rush was such in fact, he was their best former defence. He used to terrorise you when you got the ball, put you under so much pressure. Beardsley would always be that deeper player coming at you with pace, with ability to shoot. Barnes on the wing in that little pocket was almost impossible to pick up. So they had so many good players and they had that winning feeling, and it was, but it lost. They lost that. Somehow they lost it, and you could never believe it. It was going to take 30 years. By the way, it's halfway to that since Arsenal won the Premier League, so the years can quickly go by. But Liverpool nonetheless now have got it back again. They've got their mojo back. They're flying. And now we're comparing generation against generation, and rightly so. And these players deserve that. They created their own history. They're up there now with the Dalglishes, the Rushes, the Beardsleys, the Barneses who dominated back in the day. And Liverpool now need to do it year after year, as Bob has said.
Absolutely. Martin, it's a better line now. We're rejoining Peter. Peter, good morning once again.
Yeah, sorry, Jim. Sorry about that.
Not at all, mate.
A long way away.
So listen, tell me, since your day with Kenny and Rushy and Barnes, they've done it. It's taken 30 years. Is it worth the wait?
Yeah, to be fair, it's all about winning. You know, Liverpool is that type of club. You know, and when you have the records that they've had in the past, you know, people make a big thing of it being 30 years, but as you've already said this morning, the three of you, they've been very close a few times. But this is obviously a special team, special manager, everything about the football club special, and a great day for them.
What do you think about the achievement under Klopp and this man Jurgen Klopp in his time since he arrived, Peter? Did you think, this is a guy they've been needing?
Yeah, to be fair, Jim, when you look at his record at Dortmund, you thought he would be. But so many have tried before, you weren't totally sure. But in terms of his enthusiasm, his attitude to the game, his love of life, really, when you look at him on the touchline, you know, when he keeps pumping his chest and everything about him, he just loves it. And, you know, I listened to Jordan Henderson saying, you know, they believed every word he said when he came in, that we're going to do this, that and the other. And to be fair to them, they've done it in a great style and a great way.
They sure have. Peter, when you think of yours, how does it compare? And I know a lot of fans are saying, don't do comparisons, let the side stand on its own. But how does this side compare to the one that you played in? Because you played in a team of superstars, really, as well.
Yeah, spot on, Jim. So there are a lot of superstars in this team, there's no doubt about it. But in my time, when I look at Barnsley, you know, everybody talks about Virgil van Dijk, who was a brilliant, brilliant player. But you'll remember, Jim, especially being a Scotsman, how good Alan Hansen was.
Yeah.
You know, and almost gets forgotten. But that's not a criticism. It's just the way it is. It's the modern game, the way we've moved on. But I played with some brilliant players. Barnsley was the best I ever played with. Rushy coming back from Juventus the second time around was great for me. You know, although, you know, I had brilliant people around me. They make it a lot easier for you. And Martin knows that. You know, I was lucky to go and play at Everton with Martin. So we had good careers together, and when you play with great players, it just makes you feel great.
What about the owners? They're being mentioned quite a lot this morning because they've stayed in the background, Peter. They've quietly let Klopp get on with it.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously a big plus, Jim, you know, and like Roy said earlier, you know, a lot of people wouldn't even know who they are, you know, but to be fair, that's the world of football. Sometimes you know everybody, sometimes you don't, but the most important thing is that they've got the football side of it right. And as you said earlier, Jim, they could go and dominate for a few years yet.
Big Bob, how good was this man that we're speaking to at the moment? The twisting, the turning, the finishing. Oh, what?
Now, Peter, here's the thing. When you look at this thing, when you look at Klopp, And when you look at these lads that haven't even really featured much this season, the kids they've got in there is Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, people like this. Are you looking at that and thinking they could stay at the top now for 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, it was interesting what you were saying before, Bob, about how most of them weren't even born when we won the league. So that's obviously a good thing for them. They're so mature now at the age they're at, and the way they play, and it's just, when you look at the 4 goals against Crystal Palace, it basically sums up what Liverpool are at the moment. And the one that Mane scores, pass from Firmino to Salah to Mane, that just was a perfect way to end the sort of wait for winning the league, and I think they could go for a long time. The youngsters, with all due respect, Bob, might never get a chance. Not because they're not good enough, but because the other ones in front of them are going so well that you just have to wait your chance. And then sometimes you go to a point, and Martin would know this, Bob, you get to a point where you think you're very close, but then you go off the other side and you don't get that chance. but that's sadly the way football is, and that's why the good players are the good players.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted for these brilliant Liverpool fans. I mean, Peter, some of the messages we're getting this morning, some of them are having a real swipe at United, they're having a dig at City. This is their time, Peter. This is what they waited for. The
big disappointment, Jim, is the pubs aren't open for another week. That's
Yeah. Well, they'll still gather, but I do hope they stay sensible.
Roy said earlier, there's a way of celebrating, but when you've waited 30 years, and a lot of them people that we saw last night weren't even born, as we said earlier, the last time they won it. So, there's a time and a place, and the time will come. As Jurgen said, they'll have a right time to celebrate with the fans and make it a good end.
Does it make you proud that you played for this great club, Peter?
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable 4 years, Jim. And please don't take it the wrong way, but to get Kenny's shirt and to be the number 7 when it was 1-11 in them days, just made me feel 10 feet tall. Kenny was a god to me and really looked after me, and it's great to see him back to full health in time to see what's just happened.
Peter Beardsley, can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Peter.
Run for the shadows, run for the shadows, run for the shadows in his clothes.